Today I respond to a comment from a subscriber who has been porn-free for 2 months now, but his raging sex drive is now threatening the integrity of his relationship. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I'm Noah Church. This channel, as you probably know, all about recovery from pornography addiction, porn-induced sexual dysfunctions, and other porn-related problems. Let's jump right into the comment that I mentioned before. He says, "Hey Noah, I'm in a bit of a predicament. I started this process during my current relationship, 1 year of relationship and 2 months of no PMO, porn, masturbation, orgasm. And I ended up being unable to cope with the amount of desire for sex. So, as we quit pornography and discover, a new normal, a new balance in our brain chemistry and our sexuality and our sexual expression, all sorts of things can happen. For some people, they might fall into a flat line that lasts months, meaning that they have little or no desire for sex. For other people, especially those who never had a severe sexual dysfunction, maybe they had some performance issues, but they're still able to have sex. And especially when they're in a relationship, their sex drive for real intimacy, real sex might increase dramatically in the weeks and months following abstaining from porn, especially if it's your first time doing so. And it's well worth, even if you don't think you have a problem or a severe porn-induced sexual dysfunction, to give it a break for a while and see how it affects you. 2 months, 3 months should be long enough to let you know if it's been having any sort of impacts on your life that you may not have realized before. Now, for people who are truly recovering from something like a sexual dysfunction, 3 months usually is not long enough for them to fully recover. So if you've made it 3 months and you are struggling with a sexual dysfunction, don't think that all is lost and it must be something else. But this gentleman has encountered much higher libido for real sex, and it's putting his relationship in jeopardy. So let's read what else he has to say about that. My partner feels pressed on, and I feel frustrated for not getting to do it. I started to cry a lot over things lately, and this frustration is enough to get me to cry. Well, I hope that you're not crying in front of your partner after they turn you down for sex, because that would be inappropriate. And yeah, it would be perhaps emotionally manipulative and not actually help you move forward in the direction you want to. But I understand going through mood swings like this, feeling much more prone to crying or having other emotional outbursts. That's one of the effects of abstaining from porn after a long time of consistent use. People can go through all sorts of withdrawal side effects, including emotional outbursts, cravings, insomnia, anxiety, panic attacks even. And some of this, to a degree, should normalize. But most people who have been consistently using over many years and who have developed some reason, some negative reason in their lives to want to leave porn in their pasts, will often be desensitized not only to sexual stimuli, but also to many other things in their lives, and their emotional palette as a whole will be more gray than it should be. And me personally, for example, I noticed that the color started to bleed back into my life once pornography was no longer a part of my life. And I realized I had been desensitized not only to sexual cues, but also to just every aspect of my life. And I was enjoying my life much more passionate about my work, my hobbies, more interested to be around my family and friends and just have conversations, and also more emotional. Like, I hadn't cried pretty much a single time between the ages of 12 and 22. And it was only after quitting porn that I started to rediscover that ability to cry and be more in touch with my emotions. And many people have similar experiences, and that's probably part of what you're experiencing. You're coming to terms with the full emotional breadth that you should have been experiencing all along. It'll take some time for that to normalize and for you to become used to your new way of life if you do remain permanently porn-free. And during that time, it can cause some stress and be difficult to handle, even if you're not in a relationship. But if you are in a relationship, then it can cause some tension there. And yeah, crying in front of your partner, I don't actually know if it's man, woman, gender non-binary, but crying in front of your partner after they reject you for sex is inappropriate. Cry in your own time, but don't place that burden upon them to feel pressured into having sex with you because you're sad or you're crying. Ironically, this kind of tension has made sex a source of tension. She knows I'm going through this. Okay, it is a she. I'm going through this, but doesn't approve me getting frustrated over not having sex or inviting her to do it so frequently. How can I deal with my high libido while protecting my partner from it? Is this situation something you have experienced? Is it because of no PMO? So there are 3 solutions that I can present to you, and you don't just have to pick one. You can pay attention to each one and incorporate each one into the future of your relationship. But I'll list them from easiest to most difficult. The easiest potential solution, or part of the solution, is to reincorporate masturbation into your life, porn-free, of course. Now, porn-free masturbation is something that is not black and white, and there's no one-size-fits-all prescription for how often you should do it or whether you should do it at all. Some people along this journey experiment with themselves and realize that masturbation, even without pornography, is not healthy for them for whatever reason. It might lead them back to more cravings for using porn. It might just leave them feeling hungover or less energized, less excited about the rest of life. Whatever it may be, it's something that we have to discover for ourselves. But I'd caution people who conflate porn-free masturbation with a relapse or masturbation to pornography, which is what relapse means for most of us on this journey. And they're certainly not the same thing. They don't have the same effects. And porn-free masturbation can be a healthful part of someone's recovery process. And there are many reasons why that may be so. For one, for someone who has perhaps never masturbated without pornography, or who hasn't done that in a long time, porn-free masturbation can be a good way to reconnect with their own internal fantasy life and desires, and get away from the desires that have been conditioned into them by the pornography that they have been consuming. And that can be a stepping stone toward reconnecting intimately with future partners and actually rewiring and having sexual experiences that they want and that they feel good about, not sexual experiences that pornography has conditioned them to desire. And another reason why one might want to incorporate porn-free masturbation is because they have a really, really difficult time abstaining completely and end up relapsing over and over with pornography. And it can be much better for those people to focus first on cutting pornography out of their lives and continue to masturbate pornography-free to have a sexual outlet, especially for people who are not in a relationship like yourself. And then once they have a sufficient amount of time, a foundation of being porn-free, they can start to experiment with reducing or eliminating their masturbation as well, and see how that makes them feel, see if that improves their life even more, or if porn-free masturbation can be a fine occasional use for them that actually helps them live to the quality of life that they want. Now, for someone like yourself, porn-free masturbation can be a good outlet for excess sex drive that maybe your partner doesn't want to engage in with you. And when it's becoming an issue in your relationship and you feel like you need a release, porn-free masturbation can be a solution. Now, a few words of caution about how you do it. I always recommend using lubrication and trying to mimic the sensations of real sex as closely as possible. You don't want it to be overly rough, stimulation that you would never feel in an actual PIV or penis in vagina sexual experience if you're a heterosexual man in a heterosexual relationship. But also, it depends on what fantasy that you are engaging in. If your fantasy is memories of pornography or pornography-inspired scenes, or you're flitting from one fantasy to the next, like you might when using pornography, switching from video to video, compilation video, going from tab to tab, those are all things that you want to avoid. If you have fantasy while you are masturbating pornography-free, which isn't actually necessary, you can just masturbate purely to the sensation, not thinking about anything sexual. But if you do choose to engage in fantasy, it should be realistic, it should be first person, either real memories that you've had or realistic future experiences that you could have in the future. And you should try to limit it to one scenario, imagining one person. And you should take it slow, make it as realistic as possible, not imagining just jumping right into sex or going from one scenario to another in your mind to keep your excitement as high as possible, because that all mimics what we've been doing in pornography, most of us anyway. So if you're able to do that and maintain a good erection, maintain arousal, and reach orgasm easily, great. If not, then that means that you're probably not as horny as you think, and these might just be more addictive urges to use pornography than actual sex drive. But to me, it sounds like it is genuine sex drive and horniness. Now, the second item that I want to tell you about is your sex drive should not be controlling you. Sex is a beautiful thing. Our sex drive is inherent to who we are, most of us, unless we're asexual. And it's not something to be denied or suppressed, but it's also not something that we have to allow to control us, to control our actions, to control how we express ourselves. We should be in charge. We should be in charge of deciding when and where and how and with whom we want to express our sexual urges. And when we allow our sex drive that control over us, to control the quality of our life, to control how we express it, then it generally does not result in happiness or a good relationship outcome. So even when you feel an urge, you don't have to act on it. You don't have to have an orgasm. You don't have to have sex. You don't have to masturbate. A beautiful part of this journey for many of us is discovering that self-control and discovering how to harness and channel that energy that is sexual in nature into other aspects of our lives. You don't have to expel it. You can cherish it, especially if one of the reasons you quit pornography in the first place was because of low libido or low sexual performance. Then it's something to be cherished when you feel that libido and that sex drive. You don't have to expel it. You can just be grateful for it and then use that energy in your daily life to do some exercise, work on a project, put yourself out in the world, make new friends, socialize. You don't have to use it in a sexual way. That energy can be redirected. And also, when it's appropriate, directed in a sexual way with your partner. So that's something that I really think that you should work on learning, and I think it definitely should be a solution that you pay attention to. But lastly, maybe your partner and you just have different levels of sexuality and sex drive, and there's always going to be an imbalance there. As you go along and maintain your porn-free status and get more used to your new normal that you're in now, it's possible that your sex drive will sort of level off and won't be as crazy and as strong as it is right now. And maybe that will naturally be more at a level with your partner and where she is right now. But maybe not. It's possible that you always have that imbalance and you'll need to channel that sexual energy in other ways, like I just talked about, or have another outlet of porn-free masturbation with realistic fantasy. But it's also possible that perhaps your partner doesn't want to have sex with you as often as you want because she's not as in love with you as she should be. When any partner doesn't feel like they're being considered or they're being taken care of or they're being treated in the way that they want to in their relationship, they're going to be less excited to be physically intimate with you. Something in my throat. And so I have a challenge for you. And that is to sit your partner down and ask her, baby, on a scale of 1 to 10, how good of a boyfriend have I been to you in the last week or in the last month? And if she says anything but 9 or 10, that should be a red flag for you. You want that number to be a 9 or 10. You want her to feel like you're the best partner that she could have and that you are fulfilling her on all the levels that she wants to be fulfilled. And if it's not a 9 or 10, then you need to ask her why. Like, what more can I do for you to make that number go up to a 9 or 10? Because I want to be a 10 for you, and I know that you want to be a 10 for me. And if we're giving to our partner in the right way and we're with a healthy partner, then they're going to want to give back to us in all the ways that we want to receive love and affection and attention. So if that number is not a 9 or 10, that should be a signal for you that you need to do some work on your relationship. You need to communicate more. You need to know what she wants and what she expects out of this. And you need to pay more attention to her needs and how you can give to her than how you can fulfill your own needs and take from her. And if you can do that, then I'm almost certain if she is a healthy person herself, that she's going to pay more attention to your needs and take more joy out of helping you fulfill those needs. And you'll probably end up having sex more often. But you can't approach this with that in mind. It can't be about what you can get from her. It's got to be love given freely to her. And then she'll want to give more freely of her love to you in every way. And if she doesn't, and you're giving everything you can to her and you're not receiving as much as you think you should be, and you've communicated that to her and it still hasn't been fixed, it still hasn't been addressed, then maybe you're not the right people for each other. But that's a conclusion that sounds like it's pretty far in the future for you. And I think you should address each of these 3 points first and get some more time being porn-free, discover your new normal before you make any drastic decisions. And take care of your relationship, my friend. And that's all I got to say about that. This has been me, Noah Church, Coach Church. If you want to see more work from me or read my book, you can see more at addictedtointernetporn.com. You can subscribe to my newsletter, get the PDF of my book for free. It'll be emailed to your inbox. And if you ever want more personal guidance from me, I offer ways to do that over a video call, over phone, or over email. And you can find more about that on my website, addictedtointernetporn.com. All right, everybody. Peace. Love to you all. Have a wonderful PMO-free day.